Light within me. Al-Islam.org. Authors Ayatollah Murtada Mutahhari, Allama Syed Muhammad Hussain Al-Tabatabai, Ayatollah Syed Imam Ruhollah Musavi Khomeini. Publishers Ansarian Publications, Qom. Although most people are preoccupied with earning their livelihood and pay little attention to spiritual matters, yet every man has an inherent desire to know the absolute truth. When this dormant power comes to surface and is awakened in some people, they gain a number of spiritual perceptions, despite the claim of the sophists and the atheists that every truth is an illusion. Everybody believes in the existence of one eternal truth. When man with a pure heart and a pure spirit looks at the permanent factuality of the universe, and at the same time observes the instability and transience of its various parts, he realizes that this world and its manifestations are a mirror which reflects the existence of one eternal truth. With this realization, his joy knows no bounds, and he is so elated that in his eyes everything else becomes insignificant and worthless. The spectacle forms the basis of that impulse of the Gnostics, which draws the attention of the godly people to a world beyond perception and cultivates the love of Allah in their hearts. The pull which they feel towards the spectacle makes them forget everything and removes many desires from their hearts. This pull leads man to the worship of the invisible being who is more manifest than all that is visible or audible. It is this pull which gave birth to many a religion based on Allah's worship. The real Gnostic is he who worships Allah not because he hopes for any reward or is afraid of any punishment, but only because he knows him and he loves him. It is clear from the above that Gnosis is not a religion like other religions. It is to be regarded as the central and most vital part of all religions. Gnosis is a perfect way of worship based on love, not on fear or hope. It is a way of understanding the inner facts of religion instead of being contented with its outward and perceptible form. Among the followers of all revealed religions, even among those who believe in idol worship, there are individuals who follow the path of Gnosis. The Gnostics are found among the followers of polytheistic religions as well as among the Jews, Christians, Zoroastrians, and Muslims. Appearance of Gnosis in Islam. Out of the companions of the Holy Prophet, Imam Ali, peace be upon him, is known for the eloquent description of Gnostic truths and the stages of spiritual life. His sayings on this subject are a treasure of knowledge. As for other companions of the Holy Prophet, their sayings which have come down to us do not contain enough material on this subject. The majority of the mystics and Gnostics, whether Sunni or Shia, consider the chain of their spiritual leaders going to Imam Ali through such companions of his as Salman Farsi, Uwais Qarni, Kumail bin Ziyad, Rashid Hujari, Maitham Tamar, Rabi bin Kaytham, and Hassan Basri. Next to this group, some other persons like Taus Yamani, Shayban Rai, Malik ibn Dinar, Ibrahim bin Adam, and Sharif Balkhi appeared in the 2nd century. They were considered holy men by the people. These persons were apparently ascetics. They did not talk openly of Gnosis or mysticism, though they conceded that they were introduced to spiritualism by the first group and trained by it. Towards the end of the 2nd century and the beginning of the 3rd, some other individuals like Bayazid Bastami, Ma'ruf Karhi, and Junaid Baghdadi appeared. They openly talked of Gnosis, some of their esoteric sayings based on their spiritual intuition were apparently so obnoxious that they were strongly denounced and condemned by some jurists and theologians. Consequently, several of these Gnostics were imprisoned and flogged, and a few of them were even put to death. Nevertheless, this group continued to flourish and maintained its activities despite all opposition. Thus, the development of Gnosis or mysticism continued till this system reached the zenith of its popularity and expansion in the 7th and the 8th century. During the later periods, its popularity fluctuated from time to time, but it has been able to maintain its existence in the Islamic world till today. It appears that most of the mystic leaders whose names are found in biographies and memoirs belonged to the Sunni school of thought and the current Sufi system that comprises some ceremonials and rituals not consistent with the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah, is the heritage transmitted by these Gnostics and mystics, although their system has subsequently adopted a few Shi'ite rites also. Some spiritual leaders hold that no mystic or Gnostic system or program was prescribed by Islam. The present Gnostic system was invented by the mystics themselves, yet it has the approbation of Allah in the same way as monasticism was sanctioned by Allah after it had been introduced by the Christians into their religions with a view to propagate Christianity. Anyway, the mystic trace the chain of their spiritual leaders to Imam Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, through their early preceptors. This chain of spiritual descent resembles a genealogical tree. The account of the visions and intuitions of the early Gnostics also, which has come down to us, mostly contain those elements of spiritual life which we find in the sayings and teachings of Imam Ali and other Imams of the Holy Prophet's household, Ahlul Bayt. We can clearly observe these facts provided we study the mystics' teachings patiently and calmly and are not carried away by their fascinating sayings, which are often obnoxious and blasphemous. Number 1. The Sufis, Muslim mystics, regard the holiness acquired by following the spiritual path as human perfection. According to the Shia belief, this quality is possessed by the Imams and through them can be acquired by their true followers. Number 2. The Sufi doctrine that there must always be a Qutb in the world and the qualities they attribute to him correspond to the Shiite doctrines of Imamate. According to the people of the Holy Prophet's household, the Imam, in Sufi terminology, the perfect man, is a manifestation of Allah's names and is responsible for supervising and guiding all human activities. This being the Shia conception of Vilayat, the great Sufis may be regarded as the proponents of the Shia doctrine, though apparently they followed the Sunni school. What we mean to say is that the Shiites, being the followers of an infallible Imam, already possesses all that is indicated by the mystics. As a matter of fact, the Qutb, or the perfect man conceived by the mystics, does not actually exist anywhere outside the Shiite world. Mere presumption is obviously quite a different thing. It may be mentioned here that some authentic Sunni books state that the outward form of the Islamic law and Islamic teachings does not explain how to perform spiritual journey. On the basis, the Sufis say that they have individually discovered certain methods and ways which facilitate this journey. They also claim that their methods have gained divine sanction in the same way as previously monasticism had gained. As such, the Sufi leaders included in their program of spiritual journey whatever rites, rituals, and formalities they demand fit, and asked their disciples to observe them. Gradually, a vast and independent system came into being. This system included such items as total obedience, liturgy, special robes, music and ecstasy, and rapture at the time of repeating the liturgical formulas. Some orders of the Sufis went to the extent of separating the tariqah, the Sufi way, from the Sharia, Islamic precepts. The adherents of these Sufi orders practically joined hands with the Batinites, those who believe in that in Islam everything is allegorical and that has a hidden meaning. Anyhow, according to the Shia point of view, the original source of Islam, namely the Quran and Sunnah, indicate what is absolutely contrary to all this. It is not possible that the religious texts would not guide to the truth or would ignore to explain an essential program. Nor is anybody whosoever he may be allowed to ignore his duty in regard to what is obligatory or is prohibited according to the injunctions of Islam.